So now we are going to take a journey away from the Contabo server and go back to our computer for this next step. This is going to be using the secure PIVX Masternode tool. So I mentioned this earlier, but just as a refresher, I will put a link to this in the show notes. But you're going to need to download and install the secure PIVX Masternode tool. There's a link right here. I can click on it, and again, this is it. Go to releases, the latest. Scroll down, get the version that you want. I downloaded the DMG file and installed that. So that's kind of what I'm using right now. Okay, I've now downloaded and installed the secure PIVX Masternode tool software, and I'm going to go ahead and launch that. And we're really only going to use this software for one purpose right now. We just need to generate a secure Masternode private key. So we're not going to use any of the other features. We're just going to use it for that. It's really simple, and I'll show you how to do that. So this is the screen that's going to show up at first. It's going to have a list of masternodes here. You probably won't have any if you're doing this for the first time, or you'll have some. But what you're going to want to do is click New Masternode. And on this screen, you can see here on the third line it says Masternode Private Key, and it's got a button Generate over here. You're going to click that Generate button, and it's going to generate a private key for you. So you can copy this. You want to copy this and put it somewhere. You can put it in a text file or something until we get ready for the next step. So once we have that private key, you can either keep this up and running so that you can use this same interface for the other 3 masternodes, or you can shut it down. For me, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it up and running and minimize it, but either way is fine, and now we can move on to the next step. So I'm just going to go scroll down here to step 6. So here's the terminal that's still logged in to the remote Contabo server and logged in as root. And we're going to go ahead and follow the next set of instructions. So we now need to configure the wallet software to run as a masternode. And I'm just reading the instructions here. We do this first by creating and editing a text file. So I'm going to go ahead and follow this instruction. So what this does, the first step of this AND is just how you would concatenate multiple instructions together. So the first instruction is making a directory under root called .pivx. Then it is CDing, so it's moving to that, making that the working directory. Then VI is an editor, and it's opening this file if it doesn't exist, which it won't for the first time, called pivx.config. So I can just highlight the whole thing, do Command C, and then over here, Command V. And it did all those steps, and now you can see at the lower left, it's saying this is a new file called pivx.conf. Now, I'm familiar with VI, so I'm using VI here. It's not the most intuitive text editor if you've never used it before, so there are others that you could use if you're, I think Nano is actually a little bit better. You can use whatever editing tool that you want to edit this file. So the next piece, according to the instructions, this is what we want to put in that configuration file. So I'm basically just going to see if I can copy and paste all of this. Oops, I don't know why that's happening. Copy that, and then paste. And I think I've got it all. Okay, so the thing to notice is that every parameter that is in brackets like this needs to be filled in and updated. And that includes this bind. You see this VP SIP right here. And that actually occurs in a couple different places. It's this line, and this line. Okay, so the last one is the easiest because we just generated it. So the last line here is the masternode private key that we just generated. So we can start, why don't we just start with that to begin with. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the masternode private key in here that we generated. And now let's do the rest from the top. So the RPC user, now if you read the instructions, it says that the username and password can be anything that you want to create. It recommends using just username user as an example, but the password should be something hard to guess. So for this example, since this is just an example, I'm just going to put user, and I'll just say the password. And now if we go down to the rest of these, this VPSIP, this is the IP address of the server. So we're going to get this. We should already have this because we had to use it to log in. You can get it, if you don't have it handy, you can get it off the status screen for Contabo. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. Okay, so I've got the IP address here, the IP address here, everywhere that VPSIP was found. I just replaced it with the Contabo IPv4 IP address. And now we double check, and it looks like there are no brackets, single brackets. And we should be good to go. So we just go and save this file. Okay, so we can now move on to step 7 and step 8, where we actually are going to start the wallet. So let's do step 7. This is actually pretty straightforward. We're just basically going to install the sapling parameters. These are the parameters that are used to with the cryptographic algorithms that PIVX uses. So let's see. It's telling us to go to tilde. This is cd tilde PIVX 5.4.0, assuming that's the version that you have, which it is for us. That's the first command, just going to that working directory, and then you're going to run a script called install params.sh. That's going to actually execute the script. Okay, the script will install the PIVX ZK snark parameters and verify their integrity with SHA-256 sum. Okay, and it looks like that was super fast and is done. So now we are ready for step 8, which is starting the wallet. So it's going to have a cd to the bin directory. We could do it a different way since we're already in PIVX 5.4, but let's just follow the instructions as they're written. And then we're going to launch the daemon just by typing /pivxd. So again, I'm just going to use the command that's here. PIVX server starting. Okay, so that's about all we're going to see, and it's going to be a long time now because you can see from the step 9 what the PIVX daemon should be doing is downloading the full PIVX blockchain, and that could take several hours. This is an overnight operation generally, but you can monitor to see how it's doing. You can use this command tail-f in the .pivx directory. There's a log that's being built up right now, which is called debug.log. If before we go and do that command, let's just take a look and see if that file exists. So if I go ls -al /.pivx /debug.log. So yes, it does. And we can see it, and it's let's see, it's growing. So you can see that the size is increasing. So that means that that log file is getting all the output data coming out of the daemon. So if you would like to monitor it and see exactly what is happening, you can use the tail command, which I'm going to do right now. So this will be just as if the debug commands were going to standard out. We're just actually looking at what's happening inside that log file. And so you're going to see a bunch of these messages. It's going to go for a long time. And you're going to look for a last block label. Okay, so I'm going to leave this running and come back when it's done, and we will continue. Okay, so some time has passed, and the blockchain should be fully downloaded now, but let's go ahead and check. So if you go back to the documentation, it says one thing to look for is a message in the debug.log that says sync has finished. So one thing we can do, instead of opening up that log, which is actually really big, and looking for that message, you can just use the grep command. So there's a Unix command, Linux command called grep, and if you type, it will basically search a file or a directory for a particular string. In this case, we're just going to write sync has finished, and then the name of the file, debug.log. And it's going to go through this very large file and look and see if that has actually occurred. And there it is. Okay, so sync has finished. That means that we've completed downloading the blockchain. We're ready to start the next step. We'll pick that up in part 3.